Welcome to Rap Stories, a show where I get the background on some of my favorite albums of all time by the artists who made them. I'm your host, David Dennis Jr., and today, I'm joined by Freddie Gibbs to discuss his album, Bandana. I've been listening to hip-hop for 30 years now, and I can honestly say I've listened to more songs by Freddie Gibbs than any other artist ever, like by far. So trust me when I say this, I've never heard a bad Freddie Gibbs verse. I honestly don't think one exists, and it damn sure doesn't exist on Bandana, his masterful 2019 collaboration album with Madlib.
I beat the pop like Joseph beat Mike and Jermaine. One came my light, one came my dark, but they smoking the same.
Back in 2009, I was in grad school at Northwestern University, aspiring to be a hip-hop journalist. I was writing for one of the dopest sites on the internet, The Smoking Section. The Smoking Section was a major part of the blog era, a time period where hip-hop websites were guiding the cultural landscape, sharing new music from the hottest artists, subverting record labels, and telling the world what was cool. It was around this same time that Gotti and TC, the Avon Barksdale and Stringer Bell of the Smoking Section, got their hands on a few tracks from a rapper living in LA named Freddie Gibbs. They shared the tracks with the rest of the crew one day, and the talent was immediately undeniable. Gibbs had this double-time flow, this gravelly voice and conviction that made you feel like everything he said was his real life. Because it was. Everyone at the Smoking Section immediately became Team Freddie Gibbs. We wrote about his music, interviewed him for stories, and booked him for our South by Southwest shows. I even remember being at the Highline Ballroom back in 2010 to do a video feature on him for his first show in New York. It was incredible how innate his talent was even back then. We wanted Freddie Gibbs to win like we wanted ourselves to win, supporting his success as if it was our own. But that success didn't come easily. He had false starts and missteps, but he never stopped grinding. I was cheering for him and writing about him the whole way. I prayed for him when he was locked up overseas. I cheered for him when he returned home some months later. And when he linked up with Madlib for Bandana, I celebrated because I finally knew the world was going to see what I'd known for almost a decade. Nobody is rapping like Freddie Gibbs.
Gold body, my jeweler, he black mummy me. I be yelling these bitches' stomach like flat tummy teeth.
He rapped about friendships gone wrong, pontifications about politics and legislation, all while maintaining the authenticity we've come to love. The album sounds like someone who went to hell and back and lived to tell about it. He managed to salvage enough grit and fortitude over those difficult years to give us a collection of 15 bangers. Those tracks had the type of descriptive details, insane rap pockets, and relatable stories that were like a shot in the arm for the whole rap game. Bandana put the music world on notice. And here to discuss this incredible album with me is a man I've had the pleasure to watch rise in the ranks as one of rap's most formidable MCs. Someone who's never seen a beat he can't go in on, and one of the realest dudes in the game and a homie from the Smoking Section days, Freddie Gibbs. Welcome to Rap Stories.
Man, thank you, man, for having me, man. Wow, it's great. That's the hell of a
Hey, man, it's well deserved, man. It's been crazy, just watching this more than a decade and the growth the whole way. And like I said, we both, we were out in the streets trying to make it. Now we got kids and old and washed up. So
yeah, man, definitely old and washed up, man. I'm loving being old and washed up.
All right, let's get in the show. When was the last time you listened to Bandana in full?
I probably listened to Bandana in full maybe 2020. I ain't listened to it in a while, honestly, because I've been working on so much music. I don't really have time to double back and really listen to my music. I'll hear it in spurts, and I'll perform songs at shows and festivals and things of that nature. But for the most part, man, I'm always, this grind is always moving forward. So I'm listening to these albums for, you got to understand, a year or two before you even hear it. So I'm making it up. It's by the time it can be, it's already old. I'm like, oh, you love that. I'll get it.
Right.
But by the time I get to y'all, it's already old news to me. So I'm already moving forward mentally toward the next one, because that's how I keep, the people satisfied. I got to always, move forward creatively. But, when I do get to go back and listen to it, man, it warms my heart. because I'm just like, damn, I made that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Grammy night, I listened to Alfredo again. I was like, wow, this guy nominated for a Grammy. That's crazy. And it really motivated me to make Triple S.
Where were you when you first started putting pen to paper or first got in the booth saying, I'm about to make, this follow-up to Pinata?
When I made Pinata, I was still with CTE. I was with Young Jeezy, during the time I was making that. So like Bandana wasn't in the foresight yet. I didn't know, because I didn't know how people were going to receive Pinata, and when they received it well, I was like, well, damn, I think I made in between that, I made Shadow of Doubt and then You Only Live Twice, you know what I mean, which projects that, people love. But I think that I was, going through so, many things personally, that it was starting to really, it was affecting my music. And I think, in between Pinata and Bandana was a very tumultuous time, I say, in my life. And, and I was seeing it in my work, and I was just like, man, I'm not locked in, because I gotta choose. That was a turning point in my life. When I got out of jail in Europe, I had to really make a decision. I was like, okay, am I going to be a rap artist? Am I going to go back to, just being me, and doing what I do, and I was on the fence with that a lot, because I was feeling like, the rap game wasn't really showing me no love. I was feeling underappreciated. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go to the streets where I'm appreciated, where I feel like somebody, where I feel like something, where I feel like my presence means something, I was really feeling like my presence wasn't meaning nothing in the rap game. And I was just like, all right, do I still want to do it? And, Lambo kept me locked in and focused. And when we put out Bandana, we were like, all right, well, we want to try to, Pinata deserves, that deserves to be like on a major label. This music can compete with, top tier music. So we kind of wanted to do that with Bandana. Really, Bandana was kind of like the first thing, and we experimented on a major label. We did that with RCA. We just didn't, we dabbled and dabbled in that experience. I'm not gonna say we loved it where we did it at, you know what I mean? But we loved the product that we made. We knew we made a classic. We just knew the people around us didn't know what to do with it. They couldn't handle it. They didn't understand it. So, we just made a shift, and was just like, you know what, we just gotta just, continue to do things our way, and take it back, the independent route. And then we did that with Alfredo, and got nominated for a Grammy. And, I put, the music industry, at our feet. So it's like, I had to really get to the point where I can call my own shots. But I knew that I had to follow it up. I had to follow Pinata up, because it was, it was such an amazing piece of work. I just didn't want to get into the concept of part twos and, trying to bring back, trying to, secure the same energy, because I feel like I can't create new great energy. I hate when people do that, in rap. So, it's like, I didn't want to be a one-trick pony. So when I approached Bandana, I definitely approached it differently than the approach I made with Kenyatta, for sure. When I made Bandana, we was friends then. So it was just like, okay, now it's like, all right, like, I want a championship with you. Now I can go back to back with you, like Jordan and Pippen, you know what I mean?
Pinata feels like they're both incredible. Pinata feels like you rapping over Mad Lib beats and like going in on Mad Lib beats. Bandana feels like a collaborative, like he sort of more met you midway on this. And like, it felt like Mad Lib sort of came into your world just as much as you came into his. That's right. How you feel about it?
Yeah, Bandana was the back to back. It was like, it's harder to do a back to back. So it was just like, yo, we don't want to I didn't want to run the brand to the ground,
Right.
I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, let's do it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. A lot of guys in rap ain't had it. If it ain't broke, don't fix the mentality. That's why they be, like, blah, 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 talk, street talk, part 4, street part talk, part 6. Like, man, I ain't even heard part 1. You know what I
Right.
mean? So,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? So it's just like, I wanted to keep keep it sexy. I wanted to make a classic brand with this thing. I didn't want to just be, oh yeah, let's just, I didn't want this thing to feel like a mixtape. I wanted this to feel like a great body of work. Whenever I link up with him, I want it to be special.
Where were you when the album actually came out? Like, what were you doing when it came out?
Bandana, what was I doing when Bandana came out? I mean, I was probably changing diapers, honestly. I think my son was just turning 1. I think around that time he was just turning 1.
So you mentioned earlier this idea of not knowing what you want to do sort of career wise coming in, leaving the rap. Is Bandana sort of the end of where you started considering that? Bandana was like, I'm in for the long haul in this, and you sort of turn out, look back on all that other stuff?
Yeah, Bandana was it. It was like, all right, I feel like I'm a real rapper. I still feel underrated. I still feel like, because I feel like Bandana should have got nominated for Rap Album of the Year at the Grammys. But Alfredo did. You could definitely see the progression from that side of things. You know what I mean? I think that on that mainstream side, I'm definitely more well known now than I was before. And I think that I don't necessarily care about that. I just really just want the respect, and you know what I mean, in the proper compensation, you know what I mean, for what I do. For the things that I bring to the table, you know what I mean? When I'm gone, nobody will look back on my career and be like, wow, it was nobody like you in the league. There was nobody like him in the game. I definitely did things my own way and brought my own kind of flow, tailor-made concept to the rap game. You know what I mean? It ain't nobody that you could like put over me and be like, yeah, Freddie Gibbs is the miniature version of him. You know what I mean? And if you doing that, then you got to be talking about guys like Brad, and, you know what I mean? And Pac, and, like Jay-Z type of levels. You know what I mean? That's the type of, you can't like talk, you can't like put like, nobody that ain't top tier above me. You know what I mean? You can't compare me to nothing but the greats. So, and that's what I want to stand on, and when I'm done doing this, that's what I want people to say, because that's how I feel.
How has that treatment changed within the industry and within fans, especially in the last couple of years?
I think it's just the work I put in, man. You know what I mean? Pounding feet to the concrete. I gotta thank a lot of guys that's in the game that might have helped swing that narrative for me. Like, guys like Pusha T, who I love, admire, and respect. It's one of the greats as well. Guys like that working with me, Killer Mike, Scarface, you know what I'm saying? DJ Paul, you know what I mean? I think they, just working with guys like that have kind of like sort of raised my cachet in the industry to show rappers that they ain't gonna be afraid of me so much, and they don't gotta feel so threatened. You know what I mean? So I think that right now I'm in a good space. I'm definitely not here for everybody's love. Everybody like, I care less. But the people that I respect and the people that I patronize their music, I love working with them.
One of the themes that is really interesting to me, and it's through a lot of your music, is just like this idea of, friendship and like losing friends, and especially like in this one, everybody talked about the guy with the, spending $200 for Jeezy's, to give some shoes for Jeezy, and, you're not messing with him anymore and all this stuff. Like, what is that like real life process of you of losing friends and like this industry and just like, and people you grew up with? Like, what does that look like for you? Do you ever like, tell them, hey, we're not friends anymore? Like, do you make them back? Like, and how, like, I want to, like, I'm so interested in these sort of interpersonal relationships that, cause you're so vocal about them in your career.
There's a lot of, things that come with, growing up and, being in, from the ghetto, man. And, we see, this big shiny job, this rap game, this, this fame thing, that none of us have never experienced before, but all of us can't handle it. People will say that you changed. Yeah, you definitely changed. That's a cliche kind of thing. Like, oh man, the rap game changed, the money changed, hell, yes, it definitely does. You know what I mean? There's certain things, certain people that I don't want to be around because I gotta protect my own energy, you know, and that comes first. And, you know, if people don't understand you putting your own energy and yourself first, then maybe they shouldn't be around you, you know what I mean? And maybe sometimes that's for the better because why be around each other if we got tension, you know what I mean? I think that I had always such a DIY mentality with everything I do. Me personally, I probably messed up you know, a few relationships with friends that I grew up with just because I didn't want to blend my business with our friendship. You know what I mean? Like, you know, of course your homies see you doing everything with, you know, the rap game stuff. And they're like, put me on, put me on, put me on, put me on. You know what I mean? Like you get tired of the put me on stuff, you know, after a while. And everybody's not equipped to work at this job. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
got homies that's filming and homies that's barbers, homies that's, you know, doing whatever. I don't go to their job and be like, hey, put me on.
Right.
Hey, give me this for free. Hey, do this for me. You know what I mean? Like I don't hit you up and be like, hey, right, this job that we in is too welcoming to everybody. Everybody feel like they can get into some kind of way, whether they want to be, whether they want to rap, whether they want to be a DJ, whether they want to manage, whether they want to do something, or they just want to just be a guy that's just getting groupies and doing nothing, smoking weed. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like everybody wants to be around this. And when you tell them that they can't be around this in certain capacities, you know what I mean? You drive them to not like you, and it drive them to hate you. You know what I mean? And that's just the you know, the music industry side of things. You know what I mean? Like you got to think about, you know, it's guys in the street that don't like you because, you know, maybe you took over their trap. You could walk in their trap and take over, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe you got an old beat from something that you forgot about. You know, something that you didn't even thinking about. Like, man, I knocked him upside his head and took this back like 6 years ago. You know,
Right.
he went to jail and was thinking about that the whole time he was in jail. You know what I mean? But then now when he comes out of jail, I'm a rapper. He still this. You know what I mean? So him shooting me or doing something to me is a big thing because, you know what I mean? Because I've progressed and he has. So it's, you know what I mean? You know, it's so many ways in this thing that you gotta protect your energy, you know what I mean? Coming from the street, you know, and with all of that, you know, with all of that said, you are going to lose some friends. You know, you're not going to make everybody happy, you know, doing this thing. And, you know, it's treacherous. The game is treacherous. You know, my dad told me, man, everybody that got to the top stepped on somebody. I hate it, but it's true. And he didn't mean that in a way like, oh, you got to be a grimy person. You got to be treacherous. You got to have bad energy. Like, what he meant by that is, you know, on your journey, you're going to hurt some feelings. You're going to break some hearts. You might break your own heart, you know? You might disappoint yourself and have to redeem yourself, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, man, like, I got to do my job, take care of my kids, and be right with God. So really, I don't focus on who likes me, who still likes me, who wants to be my friend. I could care less. You know what I mean? Like, you know, my son ain't he gotta be my friend. You know what I mean? But he gotta respect me up in here. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know what I mean? So it's just like, you know, I gotta stand on what I believe, and I'm gonna always do that. You know, regardless of, you know, who walks in and out that revolving door of your life. You know what I mean? You gotta keep doing what you gotta do. I gotta be, like I said, I gotta be a mantle, a staple for my children. As long as they respect me and look up to me, like nothing else really matters to me.
Right. I think another theme is that, I mean, I think people sort of underestimate like how smart you are. A lot of times they sort of characterize it as like you just solely talking about things on the street level. But I mean, on this album,
Right.
you got like, you take a few bars and talk about Obama policies, and then you talking
Yeah.
about like history and stuff. So like, I'm curious about like, what were you reading when you were making this album? Like what, you know, what are your general sort of reading, and how are you educating yourself?
When I was making that album, I was reading Ta-Nehisi Coates, Gil Scott-Heron, autobiography. So, I'm always picking up some kind of information, whether it's in a book or some kind of way, or it could be just a thread. I could read a thread on Twitter that could be about a certain subject. It's a lot of things that I'll take in information wise. I'm not here to push a geo-political position on anybody. I want people to understand that there's, things in the world that aren't what they seem. You know what I mean? It's, like me rapping from a black man's standpoint, I'm rapping from a position of, somebody whose family is only, 4 generations, maybe 3 or 4 generations removed from being, sharecroppers, slaves.
Right. One thing I definitely do want to talk about on the album is your own personal religious journey. That, there's a lot of that discussion of where you sort of grew up religiously with your family stuff and where sort of you landed now. Like, talk about that and talk about how you express that, especially here.
Oh, definitely. I grew up, I guess you would say, family was Baptist or whatever, Christian or whatnot. Just, me, getting around certain guys in the street and learning different things and different literature and things, just, it moved me toward, the Islam side of things. I started going to the Nation Islam Mosque, and rotating with a lot of those brothers and a lot of the guys, like I said, in the street, with that same type of doctrine or whatnot. So, I mean, I think that, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, man, just, got a whole lot of different kind of concepts. And another thing that led me into that, into the teachings was Dick Gregory. I remember Dick Gregory speaking at my high school and my graduation, and he spoke so highly of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I had to go into it. I had to dig into it. So, those teachers definitely really helped shape me as an adult, as a man. I wouldn't be who I am without them.
One thing before we dig into the album a little bit more, there's a lot of talking here about you overcoming codeine addiction on the album, which, the concept of just overcoming addiction at all is just like, it's incredible that people can do that. You know what I'm saying? That like the
Right.
fortitude that it takes, like, I'm sure, as Gotti had the smoking section sort of started out of Gotti's sobriety, and things like
Right.
that. And I think, so just talk to me sort of what, that, getting over that addiction, talking about it, rapping about it, and what that meant for you.
Yeah, I ain't never really had a problem with drugs until, like, I would say that the opiate thing, my cousins in Memphis and Mississippi, and that they turned me on to the sipping of the syrup and all of that type of thing, and it was, I don't want to call it cool,
Right.
but it was part of a culture that I was involved in. It was part of a drug culture, that we was around. I was selling it at one point, and then once you start drinking, it's like you got to sell a lot of it to supply your habit. You know what I mean? Like, matter of fact, rest in peace to my homeboy, Doe Burger, out here in LA, man. Like, me and him used to get gallons of syrup, you know what I mean? And sip all day long and sell it and hustle it. And, it was a thing. Like I said, it was a culture. You know what I mean? I think that it's crazy. I was telling my homeboy, I got close homies that I sip with on the daily, EJ, Chicago Kid, Danny Brown, you know what I mean? Like, we saw in that world, we was all making music, you know what I mean? And that was just, like I said, that was like our studio habit.
Right.
And the thing that made me kind of like realize, I was like, you know what, I can't be on this, is when Erica was pregnant with my first daughter, I was like, I can't be asleep, trying to take care of my kids. I can't be high, incapacitated while I got a child in here. So I had to make the decision and kind of get that up, as a man. Like, I didn't want my daughter coming in here like, why is all these baby bottles of medicine
Right.
in the house? So, I didn't want to give that I didn't want to give that view of me to my children. So I kind of like let that go.
I know a lot of people say it's part of the creative process. Did you have to sort of relearn the creative process when you were not doing that anymore?
Yeah, I was over it. I wasn't really sipping stuff when I was making Bandana. That's when I stopped. My daughter was born in 2015. I think I really stopped drinking syrup around that time. I mean, I can't say I had a clear mind because I was with you think about things like this, and when one addiction kind of comes another. I was reading the Miles Davis autobiography, and he was talking about how Charlie Bird Parker, famous jazz musician, he was like how he'd be so strung out on heroin, and then he got off, and then when he got off, he started drinking alcohol heavy. You know what I'm saying? So, and I felt that with me. Like when I got off syrup, I was like, oh man. Then the era of like, all right, yeah, we got money. Let's order 10 bottles to the section. You know what I mean? Like once the syrup drinking era for me stopped, then it was the 10 bottles of 1942 to the section era. You know what I mean? And the drinking kind of picked up a little heavier. You know what I mean? And then I'm not gonna say I got into the alcohol as heavy as the syrup, but you know what I mean? The alcohol can be some treacherous nights as well. But I just I think being a father will give me a different kind of focus. At this point in my life, I definitely, the clarity is definitely there. And I'm thankful for that. Everything I went through, I could look back on it, give another youngster some insight on that.
The Guardian and other places call this a rap classic. And, as I mentioned before, this sort of got the world sort of going to, thinking about you in terms of that Grammy stuff. Like, when did the Grammy thing start to become a reality to you? When were you starting to think about it as a possibility?
Probably when I made Bandana. And it was like up for consideration, but didn't get nominated. I was like, okay, maybe I get nominated for something, maybe. But when I didn't get nominated, I was highly disappointed. Highly disappointed. So, and I took that disappointment and just made Alfredo. Because I was just like, I don't even care no more. I'm not even gonna make an album for the Grammy committee or whoever listening. I don't even care. And me not caring, they nominated me. And I was like, okay.
Right.
So now I care, but I don't care. You know what I mean? Because like, I know I could do it. I know I'm good enough to be there. So if you put me there, thanks. If you don't, then it's your loss. I feel like.
Yeah. And in this put Bandana as sort of like the certified, nobody can say this isn't a classic, right? But like I said, I've listened to, all the way back to Miseducation, Freddie Gibbs, like all these albums. Like,
wow.
And I feel like, there are so many great works of art. Like I'm putting you on the spot here. How many classics does Freddie Gibbs have under his belt?
Wow. Sheesh. I would say about at least, and I'm being generous, I'd say about at least 4.
All right, give them to me. What are they? What you got? Which ones?
Alfredo, Bandana, Kenyatta, and Triple S.
Okay. All right. I'll take it. I
think those are my most focused albums. If I had to look at, all the stuff that I look back and I'm like, yeah, that's probably my most focused stuff I've ever done musically. So yeah, I would say, yeah, those 4 records cut through, you know what I mean? I needed all 4 of those to make, I needed the first 3 to make the last one. So the first 3 was a boot camp to me. So
I agree. I think I'll probably add a couple early, to me, the early mixtapes are just like.
I love BFK. I love all of that stuff. I don't even think that I was a good rapper yet.
Really?
I think that I was decent. I was just decent. I wasn't even good enough yet. Like, I was just in the shadow of a doubt. And I was like, man, I had so much room for improvement on here. Go ahead and improve. I was like, all right, let me just improve. You know what I'm saying? So, I can look back at my stuff and grade my own work. Like, yeah, I didn't do what I was supposed to do right here. Or I didn't do as good as I can do now. And when you got that, in the back of your mind, then you can't do nothing but get better. I think that it's really nobody this late in their, no rapper this late in their career made their best project, I'm still making their best project, you know what I mean? So I think that I'm still progressing and I can do this for a long time. Like, I don't even look at myself as in the rap game. I look at myself as like, I'm totally something different. I'm like, I'm on my own wave. I'm like the Grateful Dead or something like that. I'm like Jerry Garcia. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at myself in terms of where I want to take my music and where it can go and the longevity of it.
What did you need to improve on? Like, what are the things that you listen back in those early days and you're like, I need to get better at doing this?
Breath control, timing, concept, when to say stuff, when not to say things, what beats to pick, concepts, just never getting dull, staying sharp, being a better musician, picking better music, just overall being versatile. And when I feel like when guys want to stop getting good at this, that's when they fall off. I want to keep getting better. I want to look back. I look back, like you said, I grade Bandana and all of that stuff, and I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, well, I was some of the sharpest I've ever been on those albums. That's why I call those classics. So I want to get back to and stay on that level,
What's the most memorable, like, studio moment where you make a Bandana?
Probably, that's crazy to think about, because like the only thing I think about in the studio while I was making Bandana is just going downstairs in a break room and just talking to Nipsey. Because while I was recording Bandana, he was recording Victory Lap.
Wow.
And it's crazy. We never make a song. And it's weird because, like, I'm like, damn, we was, on the freshman coming together. Me and him had long conversations about things that wasn't even had nothing to do with music. You know what I mean? We just be talking about the streets forever, for a long time. And I never leaned on him about it, and he never leaned on me about doing no music, because that wasn't our relationship. Our relationship wasn't an industry relationship. It wasn't a music relationship. I didn't need no music from him to be cool with him, and he didn't need no music for me to be cool with me. When we always saw each other, it was always respect. But when I think about Bandana, that's all I really think about is Nipsey, because the studio aspect of it, at least, because we was both in Paramount at the same studio. When I take a break, you take a break, we'd be outside, sitting on the beds, chilling, smoking, and just, talking about life, or in the little kitchen area, eating, whatever, just shopping about life, We'll listen to each other's shit and go back and do our own thing, But we just didn't do a song. But it wasn't because it wasn't because we ain't fuck with each other. It was just because timing, and we was both just super locked in. It just didn't happen.
What is the most memorable conversation y'all had during that time?
He was explaining to me something about the train, like the LAX train, and how it stopped and south. He was explaining to me something about that. And then, like, I was like, yeah, right. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
the stuff he was telling me, like, he's making like a coding thing for girl, like all that, everything he was saying, I was listening to that, and I was just like, yeah, right. How the fuck you gonna do that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, what do you mean? All right, whatever. And then, like, the last, year of his life, like, all that stuff happened.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, Nip really was speaking these things into existence. Everything that he said he was going to do, he did it.
Right.
He did it. You know what I mean? Grammy, all of that, did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so man, you know, I hated that he not here no more. Imagine where he'd be right now. You know,
Yeah, I think one of the stories I think from the album that you mentioned, you said hip hop came in the studio at one point and was talking about Jay-Z.
yeah,
Tell me about how that sort of and impacted you, the competitive side.
I love Jay-Z. I got this hat on because Jay-Z wear these hats.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, with that said, you can't come in my session talking about no other rapper.
Uh-huh.
Can't come in my session talking about how great this other rapper is. I know Jay-Z great. Well, I mean, that ever made that don't gotta be said. Like, man, this nigga hip hop was just talking about that too much. Like, oh, Jay-Z would have did it like this. I'm like, so, you know, I was on one that day, and I just went in and I'm like, I could do this too. You know what I'm saying? So I thank him for that. He really challenged me to do that. I thank Jay-Z for that too, man, because he make everybody raise their level of skill.
What's the weirdest thing about Mad Lib?
How long we got?
Go for it.
Oh, the weirdest thing about Mad Lib, man. Mad Lib is in his own world, man. Like, they say there's nothing weird about him, but it's definitely eccentric. You know what I mean? Like he might not. I ain't think Mad Lib was gonna show up to go joke, but the mystique around him, I think that's what makes him great. He make me want to be more mysterious too. I wouldn't say he's weird. I'd say he's very mysterious.
Right.
He made me want to be the same way.
The Mad Lib beats are so unorthodox, and your flow is all about getting in pockets. Like, what is it like? What's the process of listening to that, and then actually putting that pen to paper on a Mad Lib beat?
At first, it was difficult because, like, I ain't really understand the concepts of I ain't really know Mad Lib like that, and like around that time, I was with Jeezy when I got introduced to Mad Lib. So, of course, when I was playing it for him, not saying that Jeezy didn't respect it, but he we was rapping on Shorty Red and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So when I would bring that in the studio, he'd be like, "What?" You know what I'm saying? So it was just foreign to what I was around. So I had to buckle down and block out the noise of the guys behind me. Just be like, "Oh well, I'm about to make this because this is what I want to make." And that's what it was.
What songs age the best?
I cried, babe. The thing about having a classic album is having things that don't age, that stay, you know what I mean? Like, I go listen to Me Against the World like it came out yesterday, because that music still speaks to me. That music is forever relevant because it's classic, I think that whole album is going to age well, you know what I mean? I think the fact that, I don't really worry about things aging because I'm like going outside and I still got like 14-year-old fans. And I ain't have to do the same type of music that, Lil Baby do to get those young fans. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everything can live. He can do what he do. I can do what I do. Everything can exist. And, you know what I mean? And progress,
What do you think makes forever music? What are the components of making forever music?
It's a good question. But you always got to satisfy a new audience. I think that if you just stick to the root, you know what I mean? Like, I was raised on music. I wasn't raised on rap. You know what I mean? I was raised on Temptations, Rick James, Smokey Robinson, things like that. You know what I mean? Like, if you know where you come from, you'll always be able to know where you're going. You'll always be able to keep it. You know what I mean? Because those concepts will never die. Well, as long as they're inside of me, they won't die. So I got to put them inside the minds of, the next, like it all keeps going, progression.
Is Bandana a perfect album? And if not, like, what are some that like you think about like that could have made it even better than it was? Or if there's even a little
perfect.
small part that like that drives you crazy about it, huh?
I think it's perfect. I mean, well, you could have put a Jay-Z on it or J. Cole or something like that,
Uh-huh. Mm,
a feature.
mm.
That's it. But I think I did what I had to do with those. That's why I named those 4 projects, because I walked away with those with no regrets.
Were there features or anything that you wanted on the album that didn't actually make it, or anything like that?
Nah. Everything, like, I don't really, everything that comes on the cutting board for me usually goes on the album. It's not too much wasted motion when it comes to my albums. I don't really have a lot of throwaways or stuff that didn't make it. You know what I mean? Like, everything pretty much makes it.
Right. Uh-huh.
I didn't have no verses that I left off or anything of that nature. So yeah, everything pretty much went on there. It wasn't too much fat to cut. Now that
Right.
I think about it, nah, it was just all like everything was just booming. Everything was connecting when we was recording it, or I didn't record it.
Was there a beat that you heard or a song that they had to convince you to make?
Nah, not on that album. Nope, not at all. Mm-mm. It was
And
easy. Everything that it was just coming, boom, boom, boom.
I think the biggest B-side question that everybody has that I get asked is the Killer Mike verse. People say, "Where's Killer Mike's verse?" Because I think people maybe think that one was recorded or something. Where was the on Palm Olive? What was the was there a verse?
Killer Mike recorded that with Madlib or something like that. I remember Madlib got the vocals first, and I think he just made it into that. He repeated that part and made it into a hook. I mean, if he did do a verse, but the way I got it, it was the way it was. So I was just like, all right, it sounds great. So we made the best concept. Killer Mike voice, it carried the song. So it's like we needed them on there. We needed them on there longer than just a verse. We needed them through the whole thing. He needed to carry the song. He was the song.
And talk about you and Pusha T's chemistry a little bit too, because I mean that like he was just on the latest album, and I think you two are just like, I wanted Freddie Gibbs Pusha T album all the way, but like you guys just make just beautiful music. I talk about that, and you smile like you may y'all may be doing one. I'm gonna put out say y'all are and just put it in the world and hope it happens.
That'd be glorious. But right now, shit, he's one of my favorite rappers. You know what I mean? So it's always good to rap with him. That definitely tests your level of skill. You can rap with Pusha T. So I'm always I'm never opposed to doing records with Pusha T. That's love. I love him. Love what he stands for. If we do a record, like I said, that'd be glorious. That'd be great. That'd be a big check. So I'll
Right.
take it.
Right.
But yeah, man, that's amazing. Guys like this, it's probably like 5 guys out. You know what I mean? He definitely one of them.
All right, I need the whole 5 now. So
Oh, I mean, I can't tell you that. Like,
I know you mentioned. I know you mentioned one to do Tyler.
I'm gonna do an album with DJ Paul.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I'll do an album with
Wow.
him. I'll do an album with Rick Ross.
Okay.
Somebody said that I should do an album with Tyler the Creator. I will. Yeah, I will do all kind of projects with all of these guys. I love these guys. So I mean, like that being said, out the way, the chemistry's already there because we got the respect.
One of the things that's sort of interesting is obviously right now the thing in the news is the rap on trial, lyrics on trial stuff, and they're locking folks up and using their lyrics against them. And in the album and through your career, you are very, you make sure that you tell stories, but you also got to think about the ramifications of telling those stories. Obviously you have the story with your uncle and things like that, and like, talk to me about that process and like how much thought of all that comes in your mind, and how do you tell a story that's raw without feeling like you're telling too much?
Yeah, that's difficult. I think that man, my life's been an open book. My whole career. I ain't really got nothing to hide about it. But at the same time, you definitely don't want to get prosecuted or anything. I think that I've did my best to change my ways, to redefine myself, you know what I mean, and just get away from that whole, street thing and street image. But we can't get away from the fact that, we use these street images to sell our
Right.
rap. These companies that we signed to, they don't want uh the good, refined, educated Freddie Gibbs, the father. They don't want that on the record. They want Gangsta Gibbs, the drug dealer, the gangbanger. They want that. They don't want, they don't want me holding my kids. They don't want me rapping about my wife like Chance the Rapper. They want me to rap about shooting something, selling something, serving something. That's what they want, because it's like, I just look at it like a Scarface movie or something like that, man. Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, I look at it like Rambo at this point, because it's like, yeah, my life involves all of that stuff. But when I'm making an album, it's like, it's like acting. I'm just like making a movie. You know what I mean? So when you make a new movie to sell to the people, to entertain them, at the end of the day, it's entertainment, and I got to treat it as such.
Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, you got a line about your dad running over somebody, and I was like, man, I want that whole story. I want the whole
That's
the
true,
whole background.
yeah. He ran over my dad. He had a motorcycle, and there was a guy in our neighborhood named Ed. Shout out to Ed. Ed, a good guy. But my dad ran Ed over with his motorcycle. Like, messed his hand up. You know what I'm saying? And like permanently messed him up. You know what I mean? And I love Ed, but that was just an unfortunate situation. And hopefully he forgive my dad for it. But he gave me hell about it as a kid growing up. So,
do you think that you are rapping about essentially PTSD, and do you think that that's something that is manifesting sort of like how you grapple with your music?
yeah, definitely. I think that we only talk about PTSD from a standpoint of like military. Like, you got to go to the army, you got to go to Afghanistan or something like that to have PTSD. Like, you don't. Same guns that they shoot in Afghanistan, we got those right on my block. Those same gunshots get heard by black babies every day. You know what I mean? So for people to be like, oh, yeah, that's not PTSD. That's not the serious. That's very serious. Um, like me personally, I probably seen at least over 10, murders, you know what I mean? Like, in the open, you know what I mean? Like, in my lifetime, probably before I graduated, you know what I mean? So, that alone, seeing so much death, you know what I mean, it takes a toll on you mentally, and anybody that says it doesn't, then in mind. Like right now, like shit, I'm living out here like in the suburbs in LA, you know what I mean? Like these kids my kids, these kids, all these kids that go to these schools, right? They don't got to deal with that. You know what I mean? So to say that they're not going to be different human beings that's come from where I come from is a lie. You're going to be different. You know what I mean? You're going to turn out different. You're differently
Right.
educated. Your mental is different. Your outlook on life is different. Your respect for a
Right.
human life is different. You're going to be like, oh, no, can't. You know what I mean? Like, where I come from, be trigger happy, dog. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we don't think twice, because we've seen we're conditioned to death. So we thinking like, all right, it's either me or this person in this situation all the time, and when you're thinking like that all the time, you're gonna have these incidents. That's why we can't get away from this stuff in rap right now, of people dying, like, ain't no country singers dying, ain't no pop singers dying. It's all rappers. There's
Right.
been like 14 rappers dying like in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
This isn't a desirable job. Not to look desire. You think you tough, you could get into this. But the reason you got to be tough being in this is because we are all risky. You got to either be tough, you got to have tough guys around you, to do this. And I hate that. I hate that for us. But it's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was in the civil rights movement, freedom rider, and all that stuff, and he has PTSD. I mean, he didn't sleep for 30. He doesn't sleep through the night still, and I think that's just sort of it manifests in different ways when you're Black and American. I think we definitely don't talk about it enough when it comes to just people just living in the Gary, Indianas, Jackson, Mississippi, and all that stuff in our day. And I think one of the things I appreciate about your music, you're eloquent about that experience, you know, and what it's like to sort of live with that, you know, and come through it on the other side. What's your favorite Spike Lee movie?
My favorite
because you give Spike Lee a nice little shout out on the album. So favorite Spike Lee movie.
It was jokes. I love Spike Lee. My favorite Spike Lee movie is Do the Right Thing. With every character in Do the Right Thing, I knew him. You know what I mean? So yeah, Spike Lee, that's probably my favorite. Do the Right Thing.
And what's your favorite Michael Jackson song?
My favorite Michael Jackson song? What?
Yeah.
From Gary, it didn't have no favorite. Oh, probably Human Nature.
Human Nature. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Need something to calm you down every once in a while. You know what I'm saying?
Final question. What's one song from another artist that you wish was yours?
Wow. Wow. That's crazy. One song from another artist that I wish was mine. My favorite rapper is Kodak Black. I wish Super Gremlin was mine. That was my favorite song of the year. #1 song of the year, Grammy Award winner. That should be the Grammy Award winner for song of the year. Kodak should be Kodak the best rapper in the game, period. So I love Kodak.
Wow.
That thing he does, like I'm definitely a super fan of Kodak.
Well, man, Freddie, again, thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure. And then, like, obviously to have seen this front row seat for a lot of this from back then to now has just been incredible. And I'm proud of you as an artist and everything that you've done and all the incredible stuff, man. Thank everybody for listening to Rap Stories with Freddie Gibbs and his 2019 classic Bandana. I'm your host, David Dennis Jr. See you soon. This podcast is produced by Podville Media for Andscape, a Black-led media platform dedicated to creating, highlighting, and uplifting diverse Black stories. Andscape, where Blackness is infinite. Dina Morrison is the series producer. Our production team, Brittany Danielle, Rob Spiewak, Lenika Belfield-Martin, Ethan Sands, and Eli Nellis. The series was edited by Stephen Williams, Kelsey Johnson, and Rob Ford. Executive producers, Steve Reese, Elizabeth Elson, and Oscar Zabayos. Raina Kelly is Andscape's Vice President and Editor-in-Chief. David Oku created the original artwork for the series. Special thanks to Tracy Smith, Mike Shahade, Rami Moguldam, Katie Lawson, Beth Stoikov, Anna Grambling, Ashley Melfi, John Gotti, Kelly Evans, Ryan Broadhead, and Kevin Wilson. And I'm your host, David Dennis Jr. Thank you for listening.